Good day, everyone. I'm João Calef, and I'm pleased to welcome you to today's episode of Encora Talks on Maximizing Engineering Performance, a deep dive into platform teams dynamics. And over the 30-35 minutes, I'll explain how platform teams can unlock engineering performance with accelerated feature releases, improving the delivery quality, and scaled up agile teams. Before we start, a bit about myself. So I'm currently working as innovation manager at Encora. I have over 16 years of experience in the technology domain, and I have delivered projects over several continents and among different industries. Uh, I've got expertise in systems architecture, agile methodologies, and solution engineering. In my day-to-day activities, I try to help customers and teams to navigate in the complex landscape of technology we are in, and try to provide also insights to engineering products and solutions for our customers. For our talk today, I'll cover a bit of a context that relates to the case study we are going to discuss, and then we align some concepts that are foundation of product platform teams and team topologies, and then we'll deep dive into the case study itself. So the case study I brought here to discuss with you is about a company that develops a product, a digital product on collaboration tools for fintech and banks. And the point that I'm bringing here is that the company starts small and as a startup and then reach the unicorn level, so 1+ billion in revenue yearly. And in this process, in this time frame, they saw a lot of great growth pains. So they had increased the amount of customers they had, they increased the amount of teams they had to manage, and the product features, everything that's related to delivering a high scale platform. And this brings a lot of complexities on how the company has to manage internally, how they manage technology, how they manage teams, how they advertise, how they go to market. And that's something that they actually do in constant motion through their lifetime, is to try to optimize the way they are organized and the way they deliver the value to the customers. So one key focus here for discussion is how we can help organizations to optimize the value streams so they are closer to the customers, they are adding value constantly and the pace of the business and can outpace the competition. So to answer that, there are several key stakeholders that could contribute in that process. And explaining this impact map on screen here, I brought some of them. So business, product, engineering can all contribute to some point to optimize the value stream and delivery of value to customers. But the focus we are going to have here in this talk is about how engineering leadership can provide better outcomes by taking actions that would impact the company towards that goal, right? So listed here on how we could help the leadership team walk towards that goal, we bring some items. So the first one is about Conway's law and reversing it. For those who doesn't know, the Conway's law is that it's a study, a research that was done that indicated that there's certain link between how teams are organized, how or companies are organized, and how the software products are designed in architecture. So there's a direct correlation with that, and that might not be optimal for the evolution of a product, right? So the idea here is that the engineering leadership has to take rational decisions and pivot from just let it live like it is and focus on trying to understand better how they could position the organization, the teams, to better influence how the platforms are built. Other items that the leadership could also think about on make some impact is guaranteeing there's not much communication happening between teams, between departments, between other divisions of the company. So they have to restrict what is necessary for teams to communicate. Additionally, it's something that comes from DevOps itself, is about having focus on guaranteeing the teams are small and they are engaging on specific parts of the product, so they can have certain ownership end-to-end of a piece of the product, and this increase the value they can deliver for the company because they have more ownership and accountability for it. And I think the most important item they can work on is to minimize the cognitive load the teams are facing. And this comes to it's evident that when the company increases and grows, there's a lot of additional complexity that comes into this, being communication, being the size of the solution itself, the complexity of the technology involved, the many different types of technologies included in the product. And this is something really important to be observed by the leadership teams. And all this, as want to think about it, how we could address these things, and that's the subject of this talk, how is acting in the team's topology. So reorganize the teams in a way it benefits all these points and will benefit towards the goal of the optimization of the value stream. So getting to a bit of the concepts behind the platform teams and where this term came from. So the term comes from the Team Topology book from Matthew and Manuel, which was a research they did to understand how teams could be better organized to unlock the potential of a certain company. And within this exercise, they could find that there was certain types of teams types that could be exist in a company, and certain interaction types as well. So the idea is that we have these 4 types of teams. For instance, the streamlined team that would focus on delivering features to the customer, so adding value outcomes. You have the enabling teams that would help out the streamlined teams on specific topics, specific subjects, such as mentoring and setting standards, giving tooling, etc. That would be of the benefit of that streamlined team, so they don't have to bother too much with these other things that are assisting them, so they can focus on what they need to deliver. The other type of team is the complicated subsystem team, which is meant for tackling very intricate parts of the product. For example, something that requires very specific statistical analysis. So you have to bring someone with that specific expertise, and doesn't make sense to have all the team trying to understand that, to work on that. And this team will just serve the output to other teams to work on the results. And the fourth team is the one that's in the subject of this talk. It's the platform team, which build the foundation for all the teams to work on top of it. So, and you'll see how this end up bringing very good results in our case study. For the interaction types, Matthew and Emmanuel mentioned that it's important to guarantee not the only teams understand what they are doing, what their piece of contribution they can make to the company, but they will need to understand how they will interact with the other teams as well. And that will help reduce the cognitive load, because there are no types of team, there's a known types of interactions. Okay, and by that, you guarantee that the communication is more streamlined between the teams, and they know to what extent they would be doing with that. So the first interaction is the collaboration. So a certain team, such as enabling team, will collaborate, or a streamlined team will collaborate with the platform team for a certain period of time to help them address a new feature for the platform. This can be make this way to expedite the execution of that part of the challenge, or to guarantee more collaboration between the parties, so the platform teams is well informed what streamlined teams need, etc. The other interaction is acts as a service. So for instance, the complicated subsystem team will create some content, and this can be shared to the other teams as a service, as an API. And we have the facilitating team. That is something that usually the enabling team we will do when they interact with the other teams. So they bring standards, they bring some mentorship. They can be kind of having agile specialists to promote Scrum to all the company, etc. So these are the pieces of the puzzles. And then to have a better understanding how this will work in real life, so you probably have when you have your digital product development, you have more than one streamlined teams focused either by anything that's reasonable for your organization, such as different components, different sets of technologies, different parts of the architecture. Then you have the platform team that will build the foundation that all the other teams can work on. And then you have also the complicated subsystem team jumping in to specific point in time, just for some very specific to bring some very specific expertise to the table. And you have the enabling team that can work across teams, as I said, to spread the word about some new standard or new technology, or just a mentorship for the other teams. Now diving into the case study, we are going to use all the content we already learned here. So again, putting in the perspective, we are talking about product company that was delivering a collaboration tool for highly regulated markets, and they were facing a very high growth. So we were expanding their market share, and they were having more and more clients joining the product over time, and each customer that joined were bringing a lot of users. So for instance, some of the customers would have more than 10,000 users. And as a collaboration tool, as you can imagine, it will have the conversations between people, files being shared, everything that's, as it's highly regulated, everything has to be tracked. So it's a huge complexity involved here, technologically speaking, that add too much complex to the scenario. And then we also have their orientation to time to market, where they wanted to just deliver features over and over so they could outpace the competition. And of course, that also led them to a scenario where they had multiple versions to support. So certain sets of customers were using the most recent version, but they had to support 2 or 3 times prior versions of the software. And all this summed add to a lot of changes in the development teams. So they had to restrict themselves several times during this period to add teams to address new features, new components, add new restrictions, new requirements from compliance, for instance. And that complexity add a lot of people from different geographies as well. And something to accommodate during the growth, right? And then all these three pieces of the context summed up to an increase in quality issues that were perceived by clients, were perceived internally by C-level executives, issues in production, well, a lot of things to work on to get it to a better state in the market. And well, this was the point in time where a company start realizing that something needs to change, right? And for the sake of this case study, we are going to focus on 2 changes they did. And the main ones were instituting a platform team. They call it CI/CD platform, that was responsible for building a foundation. I will cover what they did in the next slide. And they also brought a quality engineering team as an enabling team that would create the standards and tooling that would be available for all other streamlined teams. Okay, so getting to each of these teams, and with a focus on the platform team. The platform team was treating what they had to do as a product, right? They had to serve the developers, increase developer experience, at the same time increase the flow speed so features could be delivered faster. Okay, so their main mission was to create and maintain the infrastructure for the pipelines, that includes Jenkins for triggering the pipelines, but also all the infrastructure to run the application. So managing clusters of Kubernetes in AWS and GCP, add new features over time to the pipelines to make it more robust and address more needs of developers. And then with that position, they could they had a lot of good results. So I think the most important part here was that they created this ephemeral environment setup that could be easily triggered and deployed by anyone that could start a PR. And that drove the reduction of the lead time of deployment to more than 90%. Anything that was included for the infrastructure, they treated as well as their scope. So databases, queues, everything was in their responsibility. And with that, one thing that was really positive for the developers and developers' experience in a company that has had more than hundreds of developers is that the newcomers would quickly ramp up in the product because they now didn't need to uh, put too much effort in understand the infrastructure, understand how things were working behind the scenes, right? And even that led to unexpected results that it was so easy that developers didn't want to test locally things anymore. They want just to send a PR, wait for the fully automated testing and deployment mechanisms work, and just receive the feedback and then work on corrections if needed. So that was really important outcome of the work of this team. And this team, specifically with the firmware environments they created, they supported immensely the other teams, specifically the quality engineering team. This quality engineering team had the mission of shifting quality left. So quality was the key issue that was identified by executives, and they wanted that this team would work on policies, standards, and tools that could be inserted in several steps of the software development life cycle to increase quality. At the same time, they needed to automate, increase the adoption of the automation within testing. And the executives also want that everything that was being executed and being tested should have the visibility should be visible to everyone involved. So that was their mission. And with the help of the infrastructure that was built by the platform team, they could unlock a lot of benefits to the company. A lot of things evolved much better, much faster to the product delivery process. So as a result, they could now reduce the lead times to execute the smoke tests by 70%. They could implement pass rate policies on the smoke tests, and they could also enable developers to access the logs of their PRs that were running on Jenkins and Jenkins servers in the environment directly from GitHub. That was an amazing add to the tooling in the process, so developer experience was really increased. Other standards they set were priority bug enforcement that would block PRs to progress in case there were critical bugs still open. This enforced that the prioritization done by the product owners of each team could properly classify bugs instead of just create every bug as critical. Another thing they did was to create a regression test analysis tool that was really important to guarantee that testers and developers could navigate through time there and understand if case studies were failing just once or over a certain period, so they could identify flakinesses in tests. And there was a massive or a very impressive improvement in the execution of end-to-end and integration tests across their environment, and that was mostly enabled by the platform what was that the platform team delivered. So they had a scenario where they, for the end-to-end test, they went from 40 hours to less than 1 hour of execution of the test with more than 3,000 tests. And for the integration tests, they also have a really massive number of tests, so 14K test scenarios across 18 pipelines that were possible to run in only 4 hours. And with this capability of running just 4 hours, enable them to run 3 full integrations tests per day. That's really impressive. All this enabled by what the platform could deliver to this quality engineer team work on, and then automate all the tests on top of it. Okay, so what was the overall results of having this team topology with specifically with these two teams that we discussed it here? And mainly, I would like to reinforce that the work that the platform team was superb to guarantee that even the quality engineering team could deliver what they did. So the overall results are that they had 58% increase in average pass rate integration tests. They have now the capability of run 3 full regressions per day. They had company-wide visibility of results. Every execution of regressions were published in their own compilation tool to all executives, managers, teams, and even flagging if which team was mainly working on the resolution of issues in case they appeared. Now the company also had a very robust infrastructure, so they were ready for growth. And the quality mindset was spread to the company, given all the policies they could enforce in the several steps in the software development lifecycle. So some final thoughts to close our presentation. So as I presented and showed about how team topologies work and how it was used in our customer, you can see that team topology can influence how the delivery streams work and the results they do. At some important point in time, is reasonable to specialize some teams so they can reduce the cognitive load of all the other value streams. And the platform teams, as shown here, they can multiply performance by helping other teams also to make more impact even to the other value stream teams as well. All right. So it's a wrap for today's session. Let's take some questions if there's any from the audience. Okay, what was the strategy for enforcing quality policies within the teams? So the quality engineering team did working a lot of different policies that they set in different steps of the software development lifecycle. There was no big bang approach to this, right? First, they were developing each policy, each enforcement as a quality gate in the process. And this quality gate was configurable per team. So if you know that our team is less mature, there's no point in making that team absorb a high bar for, let's say, a pass rate for unit testing. I don't know. So the approach was incrementally deploying or enabling these quality gates per team in a certain level that made sense for them. Of course, the quality executives would then set the pace of how much fast they want or not to have that going. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, when should a company evaluate its organizational structure and contemplate a change in direction? Right. As we know, companies are living organisms, and they evolve over time, given the level of growth they are having, how rapid they are doing that, and for the executives that are taking the decisions and the directions of where the company should go, how should be organized. I think that there's no clear answer of when, but every time, I think every time during the lifetime of a company, it's a constant that the leadership has to evaluate how it's performing, understand what are the pain points, understand if something, and monitor, for instance, as we talked about, monitor how high the cognitive load is for each team in the organization, and then take an action based on that. So it's a constant in life, let's say, for guaranteeing that we understand where we are and where we want to be, and take the appropriate actions. And I hope that team topologies is another tool in the toolkit of a leadership executives that can use for tackling this. I think that's it. Okay, so closing up. So thank you everyone for joining me today in this webinar. For more insightful content, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Encora Inc. And if you need more information or additional content to be updated with what Encora is doing, please visit our website, www.encora.com. Thank you.